Welcome to the Exam Room Podcast, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Hello, I am the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll, and we have a first-time guest on the program with us today. I'm so excited. She is a stroke survivor and entrepreneur, a thriver in life, and she's got an incredibly familiar face to her incredible career as a model as well. Robyn Lawley, making her Exam Room debut. Thank you so very much for being here, Robyn.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm looking at you and I'm looking at your face and I'm like, there's no way this person has any kind of health history to her whatsoever. But you are, in fact, a stroke survivor in addition to a really deep and complex story. Let's dive right into it. You did have a number of strokes. What's going on? Let's start there.
I know. I already feel stupid that I don't have my giant green smoothie with me because I usually have a giant green smoothie now everywhere I go. But I had a stroke, a very secret stroke, after my daughter was born. So a few weeks after my daughter was born, it was all smooth and sailing, and I was staying up all night staring at her because I was a bit scared that she would stop breathing. I had a bit of a fear of that, and then suddenly it all went downhill, and my partner took me to hospital, and the hospital was full. It's in LA, and they sent me home because I just thought I was a post-traumatic, post-baby and just tired. And then my speech started to go and I started to suffer from aphasia, like hardcore aphasia. And I couldn't speak. And we went to hospital 2 times. And they did that to me 2 times. They sent me home. And then my Australian family came over. Well, my manager came over actually, and she took one look at me and she called my family. It was like, Robyn's not well. Like, you have to come see Robyn. And they came over and they took one look at me again and they just put me on a plane back home to Australia. And I went home to Australia and I went to hospital. And I was thinking, I might have some condition. And then when the doctor came up to me and he told me, you've had strokes, I didn't even understand what he said. I didn't even know what a stroke was, to be honest. I knew my grandfather died of a stroke, but that's all I knew. And I feel really stupid saying that, but I'm just being honest because my generation doesn't know what strokes are. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, you have lupus and APS, which is antiphospholipid antibody syndrome, which caused the strokes. It's caused a blood clot in your brain. And he gave me all the paperwork for that and they sent me on my way. And I was doing horrible at that moment. I was still in aphasia stages and all that crap. And but I started to recover quite fast, actually. And I recovered, to a point where I thought, everything was hunky-dory again. And then I started suffering from seizures. You get a lot of damage with a stroke and you get post-stroke epilepsy, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the story of the stroke. I don't know.
Well, I mean, one, I'm really glad that you're here with us today. Number two, it actually disappoints and angers me to a certain extent that you were sent home not once but twice from the hospital by doctors after suffering a stroke, at which point at no time did that conversation ever come up with the physicians there. And I'm not blaming doctors. I've been to the hospital in LA. I know how slammed they can be, but to have missed something like that, that's really deflating. What was your mood like when you were being sent home and you just, I'm sure felt like something is incredibly wrong with me. What's going on here?
My mood was, I thought I was going crazy. To be honest, I didn't know what was happening. My thoughts were my baby, and I just didn't want my baby to be taken from me. It was very weird because stroke survivors would tell you about aphasia. Aphasia is really weird. You go to say the word, but you can't say the word. And so I thought I was losing my mind, and my fear was that they were going to take my baby from me. So I was kind of paranoid. And everyone kept saying I had like post-traumatic about having a baby, but mine was kind of like the opposite. I was kind of like, don't you take my baby from me. So we didn't even sue the hospital, which we should have done afterwards, because we just were so into our daughter and we just couldn't care. I'm glad I got my family, saw the, problem in me at the time. And they did the CAT scan and the MRIs first thing when I got to the hospital, which is what they should have done. But yeah, those LA hospitals, I have to say, are horrifyingly slammed. I wasn't like, there was a lot of people there. I was like, I think I don't know, call the ambulance next time if you're in that position like I am, because they take you more seriously. If
Mm,
you walk into the ER, they just don't take you seriously.
mm. I've heard of people here on the East Coast, even at a really prestigious hospital in Baltimore, the emergency room there, you can walk in there with life-threatening symptoms and have a 17-hour wait. And
Yeah.
that's just a testament to where we're at with healthcare currently in the US. But that's a podcast for another time.
Yeah. I
I
know.
want to
That's
keep
a
the
long conversation.
it
What?
absolutely is. But I want to ask you about aphasia. So, for our audience who isn't really familiar with aphasia, what exactly is that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because no one's ever asked me about aphasia. And I've actually talked to my stroke survivor groups about aphasia. It's when you literally, it's a stroke symptom. It's after the stroke, and a lot of stroke survivors suffer from it. You go to talk, but the words don't come out. And in my mind, I could understand and I knew what I was going to say, but they would just come out as gibberish or another word. It was the weirdest experience I've ever had. I can't tell you how horrifying it was. It was the scariest experience I've ever had. I mean, like, yeah, I don't ever want to suffer from aphasia again. And I feel so sorry for stroke survivors that have a current aphasia.
Were you able to write down what it was you were thinking, or was this just an auditory thing?
It was both kind of, it was hard to write as well. It was kind of because my arms were numb and stuff. It was like full body was shutting down kind of situation. And yeah, it was not a good time for me.
That I imagine was absolutely terrifying, especially as you were saying, you're a new mother at that point. How old was your baby?
I mean, she was 2 weeks when I had the first stroke.
Holy
Uh,
smokes.
yes, or after 2 weeks. She was about, I suppose it was 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Sorry, I worked 2 weeks after the after I had the baby. Like I came, back out of the delivery, all bright and bouncy, and I think the APS just when it caused the clot, just I was, shut me down.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so your hands were super full at that time. Oh my goodness gracious. So your family comes over, you make the decision to fly back to Australia. Um, you kind of alluded to this, but you must have been shocked when the doctors there delivered the diagnosis that you had had a stroke.
Yeah, like I said, I was not expecting that as the I just was not expecting. I thought he was going to, we didn't know, we honestly didn't know sorry, we didn't know what was going to happen, or what the diagnosis was going to be. But yeah, a stroke was the least. Oh, I never, like I said, I didn't even know you could have a stroke at my age, which is a big, unfortunate thing I go through a lot. It's like people don't know you could have a stroke at, 25.
Exactly. I was about to say you're in your 20s at this point. A stroke, that's an old person's disease for the
Yeah.
most part that people would think. So here you go. And so let me ask you this. I mean, obviously, this is a big time plant-based show. People are always curious about what the diet is like. Was that a contributing factor here? Um, do we know what the cause was beyond, as you said, the APS, the antiphospholipid syndrome, or the lupus?
I have to say, I had a cookbook pre all this called Decadent Dishes, and it's full of meat and it's full of dairy. And I used to go by the philosophy of you can eat whatever you want, just in moderation. I looked fit, I felt fit, I thought that was fine. So that's why I'm on this show to squash that theory. That theory is not true in any way, sense, or form. And I learned you are what you eat, or you cannot eat that way. And I was eating free range, I was eating organic, I was eating the most expensive item you could buy in that version, but it's still, I obviously suffered from it because it caused lupus in me. And I had signs of lupus pre my daughter. I had rashes. So it wasn't like it came on suddenly. I had signs and I was going to doctors and stuff and no one was diagnosing it. It was like, it's really hard to get diagnosed with lupus. It's a hidden kind of autoimmune disease that stays hidden well.
Is that one of those diseases that's essentially diagnosed because everything else is kind of ruled out? I've heard fibromyalgia can be that way as well.
Yeah, exactly. I was just reading about fibromyalgia because one of my best friends suffers from that. But most definitely, it's just like I had one doctor, say she might have this ANA. It's like a positive ANA, which could be a contributing factor to lupus. It's one of those things that, yeah, it's hard to get diagnosed with lupus.
All right, so let's dive a little bit deeper. So you say that the cookbook was decadent dishes, but you considered yourself to be fit. Obviously, you're working as a model, so I can't imagine that there were too many trips to the drive-through and a lot of fast food in your diet.
Yeah,
As
oh
you
my
said,
God, no,
everything was
no,
organic.
no, no. I never ate fast food. I've been fast food 10 years ago. I don't touch fast food like McDonald's and all that. No way in hell. And I thought I was doing right by the animals, getting like the free range and the organic and all that stuff. I thought I was doing the right thing. I was even drinking raw milk, like it was the localest I could get in, Topanga Canyon in LA. And I was working out 2 hours a day. That was my usual regime, was 2 hours a day working out. So
So were there lots of eggs, and it sounds like free range,
lots of
so
eggs, lots
lots
of
of
eggs.
eggs. Chicken, were you a red meat eater at all?
Yeah, yeah, I ate it all. You could, I mean, don't obviously buy my old cookbook. I give out all my vegan recipes now for free on Instagram, as in I feel so guilty about that cookbook, but it's a very decadent. It's not what I eat at all today.
Gotcha. So give us an example of what your diet looks like today. What was for breakfast?
Well, I do raw to fall now. I'm following my program with Dr. Brooke Goldner that eliminated the lupus. It's a very tough protocol. It's not for everybody. Well, it should be for everybody. I'm not, giving it justice, but it's basically raw vegan, and you've got to drink these huge smoothies. Like I'm on 12 cups if I can get it. It's spinach into me and a cup of flax seeds, because you've got a really hardcore autoimmune disease that you have to get rid of. And if you don't want to take drugs, which I don't want to take drugs for lupus and stuff because I hate the steroids, I want this version. So I use it's called hypernourishing. So you've just got to think of it that way. So I do raw to four, and then I have a dinner with my family that's just vegan. And I try to keep that lots of vegetables, and I'll make my own seitan or tofu or cauliflower. I have all my recipes on my Instagram, but the raw to four is essential because people aren't eating their vegetables. That's the reality. And we all go on about protein, but that's not essential. Like fiber is what you need. You need your fiber, and you need your omega-3, not too much omega-6, because vegans can eat a lot of omega-6, which is a bit inflammatory to the body. So you really need a lot of omega-3, especially if you've had a brain injury like myself.
So how do you feel that the raw benefits you in particular, as opposed to just going on a cooked vegan diet? What are the benefits that you get as somebody who's living with lupus?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to research because I love Brooke Goldner and her theories and stuff. I think the raw just has more of the vitamins pre-cooked, because they don't actually understand it either themselves. I think the idea of raw to four, you just focus on getting a lot of vegetables and fruit into you, because when you don't do raw vegan at a certain time or all day, you cheat a lot. You eat a lot of pasta, a lot of bread, a lot of and vegan cheese and vegan sausages, and you can eat a lot of vegan junk. And so I think this idea of just as much vegetables and fruit, and it's unlimited. Like you can eat as much vegetables or fruit as you want. Like if I wanted to go eat 5 avocados, I can, or 5 bananas, I can. Like that idea that fruit's got high sugar is so stupid. And you need your fruit and you need your vegetables, and you need a lot of them.
How many grams of fiber do you think you're getting in a day? Well, when I have Will Bolsowitz on the show, who wrote Fiber Fueled, a great friend of mine, he's a big proponent of getting up there. I think we've talked about 40 or more grams a day. Seems to be the ticket. Do you think you're in that territory? If you're going raw, I would imagine
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
close.
yeah, for sure. And more, it would be, I mean, the flax seeds themselves, the flax seeds are life-changing. And especially, like I said, for a stroke survivor, you should be having flax seeds or chia seeds, and a lot of them. Don't be doing like a tablespoon, do a cup. You've got a serious condition, or, you've been damaged in a serious way, and you need to calm inflammation or heal your body. So I'm telling people a cup or more.
So yeah, I mean, it sounds to me flax is one of those that's a little bit more nutrient dense, has a little bit higher calorie content than some others. So clearly, that's and you also mentioned, like, if I want to eat 5 avocados, I'm going to eat 5 avocados, no problem. So
Yeah.
clearly, gaining a ton of weight eating this way is not a concern of yours.
No, it doesn't. It's like you are what you eat. It doesn't work. It doesn't like it's amazing. This diet is incredible. And you should see, like, I'm sorry about my internet keep doing that, but you should see the amount of people that love Dr. Brooke Goldner. She is a genius. And like more people need to know and not be scared of fruit and vegetables in their unlimited form. And you're missing that from your diet. Please eat your fruit and veg. That's the number one thing you need to do. And like I said, I didn't even know about flax seeds before. I didn't know about them at all. I thought they were, you know, I didn't have them in my diet. I had flax oil now and then, but flax oil is a bit of a temporary measure. If you can't do the flax seeds, do the flax oil.
So let me ask you this: when did you first start thinking about, well, maybe I should be looking at eating a plant-based diet or vegan diet here, and that could really help out with the symptoms that you were experiencing? When did the V word, vegan, pop on your radar?
I have to confess, I was a former vegan. I was a vegan as a teenager for a long time. So I feel a bit guilty about that too. And I went back to eating meat and stuff.
Was that more for ethical reasons at first?
It was actually more to be easy, which is a
Ah,
terrible thing to say, but I was on set at a photo shoot and I just wanted to be easy and I just wanted to eat the food and I just gave it up because so many people I was the only vegan everywhere I went. And it was so hard back then. And that's a terrible, terrible excuse. And I'm sorry, I really feel guilty about that. So I knew what animals were going through and I just turned a blind eye. So people can do that, which is horrible for me to say, but it's the truth. And the veganism came to me. She came running up to me after a TV interview after I fell down, I had a seizure on top of a staircase, and was smashed up my face. So that might be my karma for eating me animals. But she came running up to me and she was like, "I can cure your lupus." And thought she was a crazy lady. She came running up to me in such a way, and she said she was a 16-year post lupus survivor and stuff. She had former mini strokes. And she was so happy and jubilant, and the way she came running up to me, I just thought I'd give it a go.
okay. But the initial reason that you went vegan as a teenager before you had to lapse there, though, was that for ethical reasons or what? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I had a vegan friend, and she was so happy. And then I never agreed with the meat in my family. I was always the one that was like, "Where is this from? I don't want it." And we've had constant fights growing up because I never liked the meat. I just didn't agree. The animals part just really sat with me, and I would cry about the animals. And so, yeah, it was for ethical reasons at that age. And my partner went vegan with me, and we agreed that my daughter would go vegan as well. And he's 100% for ethical reasons. And he agreed with me. And my daughter loves being vegan, and she's for 100% for ethical reasons. Like she understands the animal process and she doesn't want the animal to die for her and all that.
Right on. And look, as far as the guilt that you carry about, going off of the vegan diet for a little while, you're human. Every one of us are human, and to err is human, as they say. And the fact of the matter is, you carried that guilt with you for long enough. You talk openly about it. You don't hide it. And so, whatever shame that you have behind it, just personally, I can't speak for any organizations or anything. Just personally, let it go. I mean, continue to talk about it and share it, and how happy you are to be back eating a plant-based diet. But there's no need to carry around that shame any longer, Robyn. That's just Chuck talking to you. That's just me
No,
talking to you.
you're sweet. Well, like I said, I give out all my recipes for free now on Instagram. You don't have to buy a decadent bush dishes book. Sorry, you can just get the recipes. If you like, what do I eat tonight? Because people turn vegan and they're like, "What do I eat?" They don't know what we eat. And like we had sweet and sour cauliflower and rice the other night. It's just to them, people think that's not enough and stuff. So that it takes a while to people to get into veganism and understand that's an amazing normal meal.
That sounds pretty daggone good to me. What time's dinner tonight? I'll be right over. Um, so I want to ask you about more about your diet now, because I know that when it comes to lupus in particular, there are certain foods like nightshades are bantied about a lot as ones that can be triggers for people with lupus. Is that a concern of yours? Are you careful with certain foods?
No, and a lot of people go on about oxidates. I think about the spinach and stuff.
Oxalates, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry, oxalates.
All good, all
Um,
good.
I've been having like I said. minimum 8 cups a day for the last 5 years. I aim for 12 cups a day. And I just have it in 2 gigantic smoothies. And I just, that's my cycle now. And it's what's kept me alive, and it's what's kept me vibrant and loving life. And I think it's what will save me, to be honest.
Outside of Dr. Goldner, what are your other doctors saying about your dietary choices and any kind of other biomarkers that you may have now? Are they amazed at your success?
Yeah, I mean, I did it with a doctor when I have it on a highlight reel you can watch on Instagram as well. Because I was a bit scared to do it, her protocol, and I didn't want to get off my steroid injections or that. So I did it with a rheumatologist. She tested my blood, and we did it over a few months. And then she called me and she was like, your diet's contributing to your health and you don't have to take the injections. It's working. Like, she couldn't not admit it. And it is hard I feel like a lot of lupus foundations don't openly admit it more as well, that you can put it into remission. You have to change your diet. And you have to drink a lot of water too. Water gets forgotten as well, like a lot of water.
How much is a lot for you? I'm assuming it's more than that 64 ounces a day that's recommended.
Yeah, I think it's like 4 times that amount. Yeah, it's a giant gallon water thing. I just feel it every day I don't do it every day. I'm not like successful every day. If her program is, like I said, tough, but if you've got like lupus or APS or rheumatoid, if you've got an autoimmune disease, like, get rid of it. That's more tough. That could kill you. Like, changing your diet is not as hard as like dying, I think. And you can enjoy it too. Like, I've found a lot of yummy vegan raw recipes during the day. She released a cookbook too herself, Brooke Goldner, and I put a recipe in there for other people as well. Like, I made a zucchini, like raw zucchini wraps with the cauliflower and like avocado, because you don't want to have too many nuts again. Like, people eat way too many nuts, but it's too much omega-6 and 9. Like, you need your omega-3. I'm going to say that 5 more times.
We're just going to get you a shirt that just says omega-3s on it.
Omega-3, I know.
Yeah.
Everyone think I'm crazy.
Nah, I don't think you're crazy. I think you're enthusiastic. I think you're thriving and you can't contain the enthusiasm. That's what I think, Robyn. So yeah, I mean, well, forgive me for saying, like, that's a lot of water to go back to that. And like, you must spend your life in the bathroom, for goodness sakes. I mean, you're talking about a gallon a day. My goodness gracious, that is an awful lot of water.
I'm a giant though. I am 6'2", and I'm like, I don't know what I weigh, but I'm a big person. Like, obviously she does it per person. I had a one-on-one with her, so she'll do it per person. But yeah, you do. That you have to. Unfortunately, you have. I don't know. You won't have any problems. Trust me, you'll be super healthy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the thought there is, it just, as she's explained it to you, is it just like flushing a lot of the toxins and things out of your system just by drinking that much?
Yeah, I mean, it's more like you need to hyper-nourish. Like, your body actually needs that much. Like, a lot of people, when they drink water, don't even like the taste of water. And if you don't like the taste of water, that's a clear sign that you've already passed that, like, that you've got that symptom. You need to love and want the water all day. And you'll start realizing how much other drinks that you're drinking too in a day. Like, water should be your number one, and you should be drinking a lot of water. And especially if you're exercising, of course, like, you need to drink more.
Let me ask you about some other symptoms of lupus. You mentioned that you had a really severe rash at one point. Is that a recurring symptom for a lot of people as well?
Yes. Yeah. A rash is a really clear sign of lupus, actually. That's why I was like, I don't know why the doctors didn't diagnose it when I was like, I have a, burning hole in my chest. And they were like, we don't know what that is, but that's a clear sign of lupus. Like, there are a lot of other symptoms. It's one of those diseases that has a lot of symptoms, and it gives, like I said, it gave me the blood clotting disorder, which gave me the stroke, or, you could have deep vein thrombosis, or, you could have painful joints, or, it's like, you can be depressed. It's all kinds of, horrible things.
You mentioned a burning hole in your chest. So I'm assuming that this is a rash that's different than, say, hives or something like that.
Yes. It was happening to me at the pinnacle of my career. I was really working a lot. And, when you're a model, you have to look a certain way. You can't have any skin problems. And I was, like I said, I thought I was eating well. I thought I was really eating well, a healthy diet, but I wasn't. And the rash was intense, and it looked like a burn, and it was started there. And I think from sun, because you can't really go into the sun when you've got lupus as well. And I was in the sun a lot for swimsuit shoots and stuff, so I think that's might have been why. And now I love the sun. I could go out in the sun and I don't have rashes.
Interesting. And so if you're working a ton, you've got the new baby as well. Um, you're not feeling great. Like I would imagine that's only compounding a lot of the stress, and stress I'm sure was also a big time trigger for a lot of this, huh?
Yeah, I mean, stress is a big trigger as well, and stress alone can cause autoimmune diseases, or even traumatic events can cause, like for fibromyalgia, they found that traumatic events in your childhood can cause it. Like, the stress is a big thing, and you have to really work on how to reduce your stress.
Are you big into meditation or yoga, or what are your stress relievers today?
Yeah, I'm actually training to be a yoga teacher just on the side because I love yoga. Yeah, yoga is my calling, and I do yoga every day. And I think eventually I want to get into Ashtanga yoga. I think that's my true calling. But I really love, yeah, yoga is just incredible. It feels so good for the body.
What's Ashtanga yoga?
Ashtanga, Raja yoga. It's like yoga I'm doing right now. It's called Hatha yoga, and it's amazing and super, super old. Like, they've found pictures of, statues over 5,000 years old in some of these yoga poses. Ashtanga yoga is just like those people that you see do crazy yoga poses and you think they're like a gymnast. That's Ashtanga yoga. That's like the really Raja yoga. It's also called, I think. It's really like challenging, hard yoga. But that's my goal. I want to get to there.
So here's a random thought for you. You get your instructor's license down. You become the teacher. I could see you kind of blending your career as a model and a yoga teacher and releasing this big book of you in all kinds of like hardcore, super technical, amazing, ancient yoga poses. And you could do that like in incredible settings. And I think that what you have right there, Robyn, is a New York Times bestseller right there.
Oh, you're very sweet. Or maybe one day. It's a lot of studying. I'm telling you, yoga is complicated. I didn't realize how complicated it was. Like, I'm learning a lot of Sanskrit, and I feel like an idiot most of the time.
You're not an idiot. All the
But it
things
takes
that
a
are
long
worth
time.
doing, yeah, they're complicated. Like the things that are worthwhile the most are the most challenging, right? You want that reward at
Now,
the end just to be able to say that you accomplished something. So go accomplish it. Accomplish it. Let me see here. I know, Robyn, somebody's listening or watching right now, and they're like, she keeps banging the drum about omega-3. She's talked about flax, but what are some other good omega-3 sources that you might suggest?
chia seeds.
There we go.
Loyal. Chia seeds are my new best friend. I've been doing flax seeds for so long. I just had to add chia seeds for like excitement, but they're really, really good for you. And that's why, they came out a long time ago, and there's this big, news about them, and everyone got really excited about them, and then they kind of just fell off the radar a bit. But chia seeds are a powerhouse, and like they give you your omega-3. 'Cause fish oil can go rancid, and it can have a lot of mercury in it and plastics in it. And once you cook the fish oil, if you ever cook it, it completely, just gets rid of the omega-3. So I just focus on flax seeds and chia seeds. That's my two, three. There are hemp parts, I think, or hemps, that give 3, but I think they give 3, 6, and 9 as well. So you need to start calculating your 6 and 9. If you have an autoimmune disease, start seeing how much 6 and 9 you have in a day, and think, what's she talking about? But research it. Like peanut butter, cashews, almonds, they all have a lot of 6 and 9. So you need to balance it. So if I want my coffee, like, look, I love coffee. I will have a quarter cup of chia seeds extra to, have that little, cup of coffee.
Right on. See, that's really easy to do. That's really easy. It seems to me like you've just kind of found a way. And I see this as a trait that a lot of people who are successful long-term with their health and in other enterprises as well, they find ways just to build things in easily. So you don't have to go out of your way and do something that's super hardcore. You like you just said, you added it to your coffee. Like that's something that literally, Robyn, anybody can do.
Yeah, well, I add it to my smoothie. I keep my coffee like it's my special thing, or I add my special mushroom powder to my coffee. I want my coffee my sacred being, but chia seeds, like just add it to that smoothie and just down that smoothie. I just down them now, like so quickly, and you'll get to that stage and you'll just be like, oh, it's just your version of your medicine. And it I don't know, it just works.
And that's a great segue. Let's talk about your ritual powders, your mushroom powders. Like, how did you get on this mushroom kick? Because as I understand it, you are a huge fan of mushrooms.
I know. I love mushrooms. I'm surrounded by them in my forest. Like I had reishi growing in my garden naturally. It's incredible. I picked reishi and I have reishi in my cupboard drying. So it's incredible what's up in New York State, up in near Woodstock area. There's just so many wild mushrooms, and I started foraging probably around 19, just because I didn't know what these things were in growing. And then of course, fantastic fungi came out and Paul Stamets. And but I've been interested in them for a while. But don't obviously forage something and eat it if you don't know what it is. But up here, there's so many things that grow that I can eat, like lion's mane and chicken of the woods. Like I just pick it and eat it. It's like the funnest thing ever.
Chicken of the woods.
Yeah.
Chicken of the woods. That's amazing. What a title that is. What is
It's
it?
the best mushroom ever. It's my favorite one. And it grows around the corner from me. So I go to that spot every year to see if it's back.
Chicken of the woods mushroom. I've never heard of that. Lion's mane, I think, is delicious. I mean, you can do some real gourmet yum yum with that. But chicken of the woods,
You gotta top it.
yeah, describe the taste of the chicken of the woods. Does it in fact taste like chicken?
It's really the texture. It's this really weird mushroom that grows like it's orange. Don't get it confused with Jack of the Woods though, because that would kill you. So there is something that will kill you, so don't get it confused. But it's you can identify it. Once you look at the picture of it, you'll see it's a very like it's got really tight pores. So when you cook it and saute it, it just tastes incredible. You've never had a texture like it, in fact. And it's going to make you want to go forage up in the woods because you really can't really buy it. It's a really hard one to find. I don't know if people have much success. I mean, I'm sure you could grow it like in a mono tub, but I think it grows better in like what in the wild.
You're blowing my mind right now because here we have this ultra successful businesswoman, model, gorgeous, six
Yeah.
foot two. You would think the last thing somebody like you to look at you, I would never say that you go in the woods to forage for mushrooms. Like, this is great. You can't judge a book by their cover. So is
Yeah.
that your all-time favorite mushroom, or what is Robin's number one mushroom?
Oh, that is a very hard question to answer. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely for eating, I think that's my favorite one. But I love like the powerful reishi. Like it's, been known in Chinese medicine for so long. And turkey tail, like you'll see turkey tail everywhere. You probably see turkey tail in Queens growing on the trees, which is really good anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory. Because that's the real, issue with autoimmune diseases. They're just really inflammatory, and you just got to calm that inflammation.
So hold up. Like, are you the kind of person that maybe you're on a shoot and you're out in the woods and like you see a mushroom growing somewhere that you like? Are you just gonna like astound everybody? You just like go right over, pick it, and eat it right there during the shoot? Or are you that type of person?
Yeah, I am.
I
But I
love it.
thought
I
if
love it.
it's edible, obviously, usually I have to cook it or like, I steep it in hot water to get the benefits of the reishi and stuff and that kind of thing. Or I find turkey tail in all my pockets all the time because I'm obviously picking it all the time. But yeah, I love the woods. I think I'm connected to nature.
That's so cool. I had no idea. And so you take your love of mushrooms and you co-found this company called Ritual Powders. Talk to us about Ritual Powders.
Yeah, it's an amazing new company I formed with my friend Esther. She had ritual powders going already, and it's mushrooms with hot chocolate, and she had like added to your coffee. And then we created, I got to like with her mushroom bomb, which is my baby. I love it because I use it in all my cooking. And as a vegan, you'll understand like you have to cook like so much of your food. And I use it for my vegan gravy. I use it for my stock powders. I use it for my seitan. I use it for my tofu. It's like the best flavoring you'll ever get. And it's with, amazing mushrooms that are good for you. And yeah, we've been selling it. It's been selling well. And I have to get the product out there. We finally got it in Orchard Grocer in New York, one of my favorite stores. So I'm very excited to see it there. But yeah, it's like I use it so much. So I just wanted to create a product that I needed myself. So it was my baby.
Mushroom bomb. How many different kinds of mushrooms are in this bomb? You put a name out there like mushroom bomb. I'm like, are there like 48 different varieties in there?
I think we've actually only got four or so, but it's got a lot in it. So the milligram like of active ingredient, because a lot of these companies have been coming out, like I've seen these mushroom gummies, and they've only got a certain amount of milligrams in them and stuff. So we wanted to put a lot of the actual mushrooms in there to get the benefits and get the taste. So you're definitely getting a bang for your buck, and the mushrooms are in there.
Is turkey tail in there?
Yeah,
Is reishi in there?
yeah,
What, like all
yeah.
all of your favorites.
Yeah, all my favorites are in there. And we've got different, like I said, different varieties. We have a tomato cha-cha. We have this curry version as well. So you can just add it to like easy rice, chickpea curries and stuff. And so a bit coconut milk, so it tastes really creamy. So this is definitely made by mothers that cook a lot because I made it with two of my friends. So it's an amazing product.
That's outstanding. And I was pumping around, and you see the website right there on the screen right now. I was pumping around on there a little bit this morning. You really do. You have all kinds of things on there. There's a hot chocolate that's available, I do believe, as well.
Yeah, well, because Esther created this company. She's been into mushrooms when she moved up here. Because I think when you move upstate and you're just surrounded in the woods, you just see the mushrooms everywhere. And she got into them, and she wanted a drink for her daughter because her daughter has a bit of issues, a bit of with sleep and stuff. So she created it to help sleep. So that's why it's called Dusk. So it's a nice, relaxing hot chocolate to help sleep. It's got ashwagandha in it. But we got involved together because we met when I was literally on the side of the road picking reishi, and she pulled over and she was like, "Oh, you love it!" Like that's how we met because we had kids going to the same scouts and things like that. So, but yeah, we wanted a product that we just used for our cooking, but with the mushrooms.
You meet people in the most extraordinary ways, like
I
at,
know
at
they
TV
come.
shows. Dr. Goldner, your business partner here, just picking mushrooms on the side of the road. Like, come on, like that's amazing. That's a story.
I
That's
know it
amazing,
is.
Robyn.
I know. I'm really happy that she pulled over for that time because I didn't. Because you, like you say, you don't know who's into foraging mushrooms. It's a bit of a weird hobby, but once you find the forager, like I love foraging, and it's just so much in the woods that you can find. Like people should, get themselves into nature, and I think we're really missing that connection with nature.
There's got to be a Reddit group on there for mushroom foragers, right? You
Yeah,
would expect.
yeah,
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 is
yeah.
there? Are you a member
Yeah.
of the
Oh, yeah,
mushroom
yeah.
foraging group?
Yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of people that go foraging, and it's helpful because, like I said, there's so many I don't know, and I don't pick it or eat it if I don't know what it is. It's very dangerous if you do that because you could, really injure yourself. But the identifiable ones are so, clearly you can see what they are, so enjoy it.
Just a couple more. Like this is a fun conversation. Just a couple of more. Number one, as a business owner, I was reading this, right? Like a lot of people are starting to say that the vegan bubble has burst. And they'll talk about the statistics that say, well, look, sales of meat alternatives have plummeted 13 to 26%, depending on which metrics you've been looking at over the last couple of years. And the big bubble, it was big. You saw that big groundswell during the pandemic. And now that we're coming out of that, the bubble has burst and we're starting to see the plummet. What's your sense in that direction? Has the vegan bubble burst?
Not at all. I think it's growing. I think it's growing more than ever. I mean, it does sadden me. My daughter is like the only vegan in her school. But in that sense, I wish there was more. Uh, I don't think it's burst though. Like there's so many products that sell out at the supermarket. Like I can't get them quick enough. Like the tofu is selling out. I'm starting to learn how to make tofu. Like it's I think it's growing, and I think the movement now, and like especially in New York City, there's so many restaurants, or London, there's so many restaurants, in Sydney, there's so many restaurants. So I think it's definitely a growing movement, and people, like I said, like myself, they'll find for themselves if they've got an autoimmune disease, why not just get rid of it with your diet? Don't take all those drugs; they're not good for you. Like they are not, they're just a band-aid on your problem. You need to get rid of the actual problem.
And let me ask you about this one too. There was also a big expose in the Washington Post recently. You're talking about things being a band-aid. and you got to treat the root issue. And for so many of us, diet is at the core of the cause of so many of our problems, diet and lifestyle. The expose in the Post, it was an undercover kind of investigation where they looked at the healthy at every size movement, or healthy at any size. And they found that the big food companies are paying dietitians and doctors, people with credentials, influencers, a lot of money on social media to keep pushing this agenda that you can continue to eat these foods. And, but the healthy at any size movement, it really is something that you believe in terms of body positivity and not body shaming. Nobody should be fat shamed or anything like that. But it did raise an interesting point that, you know, nobody should be made to feel less than or put down or teased or ridiculed or anything because of the way that they look. But at the same time, you can't pull the wool over your eyes about what it is that you're feeding your body. It's a really difficult balance there. And I would love to get your thoughts behind that. And where is the balance between indulgence and health? And it's a tough one. And it's tough for me too, as a guy that used to weigh 420 pounds as well.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's, you don't want to offend anyone. And I think I'm such a big person. I go around the streets and I get stared at because I'm a big person. Like, I'm broad, I'm wide. And like I said, when you're 6'2" and you're a woman, you get stared at. And I'm not like skinny. I'm a solid person. And obesity is a growing issue. Like, it's because of these food products and not good for you. And this, I do get annoyed that, the truth isn't shared. Like, I didn't know about like raw veganism until, this doctor was like, this is what you're going to have to do to cure this, your lupus. So I think this information needs to be shared more. I think eating those packaged good foods is where it's really bad. Like, any packaged food is not good for you, especially if you can't read those ingredients. Like, don't touch it. Like, and those fast food drive-throughs, I just think about the animals now that stop me. Like, there's so much, but they've tested these products. They know what you want to eat. They've got you hooked. This is an addiction, and it's hard to give up addictions. So I don't judge anyone by their looks and stuff, but I think you've got to take into account you are what you eat. You've got to, nourish and help your body.
Oh, the addiction part. I mean, I was able to quit smoking way easier than I was able to quit
Yeah,
fast food. I mean,
exactly.
it's not even a question. And I was talking to somebody else recently on the show, a gentleman by the name of Tim Kaufman. He just put out this book. He was addicted to drugs, alcohol, and food. I mean, triple addiction. And he said food was the hardest thing for him to get a hold of as well. And this is a guy that was hooked on fentanyl, for goodness sakes. So what does that tell you? I mean, it
Yeah.
tells you that these guys are really, the big food companies are really doing everything in their power to keep you coming through, to keep that cash cow fed, so to speak. I don't know any other
Yeah.
way to put it.
There's no healthy food in McDonald's. I hate McDonald's. Like, there's no healthy food there. All those fast food companies have got so many people hooked, and but food can be really expensive, like fresh food and stuff. I find the cheap ways to go about it. Just do it in your regular supermarket for now. And when you can, maybe start a garden or go to a community garden. Start getting free produce for yourself if you're having troubles financially. Just get the fruit and veg into you now. Like, don't even focus on organic. When you can, focus on organic, or I have a deal with my local farm stands because they see me so often. They all gave me deals. But like, that's because I know a lot of people say it's expensive and stuff, but I think it's the opposite.
Absolutely. And let's end with this. I want to end on a high note. I want to end on a positive note, and one where I think that the listeners can really just kind of walk away feeling good about things. And that is, how is your view of the future changed now that you've had this incredible health transformation? I mean, I would imagine you would have felt at your lowest all time when you were first diagnosed with the stroke and you were going through that battle, but now you have certainly found a much healthier path. How has your vision for the future changed?
Yeah, I mean, my future for the vision, future. I think now I'm very excited. I can see living longer because, unfortunately, when you look into stroke survivors, I mean, the statistics of how long you're going to live after stroke surviving or after you've survived any strokes I don't recommend it. I'm in apparently the 1 to 2% because it's 9 years post stroke now. But I think I'm going to squash that statistic in hopes, I'm going to prove it wrong with the vegetables and the fruit and the yoga. And I think you are what you eat and you can heal your body. Just, you can heal your body. Don't let those suckers win, They're just there to get your money. And, I think you are what you eat.
You are what you eat. And you are a beautiful soul inside and out. And I just can't
Thanks
thank you
for
so very much for being here. And you haven't done the podcast in a while, but we'll plug it anyway. It's called Everybody. It's something that you did fantastic that you did during the pandemic, but it's still available on Audible for those who want to go back and give it a listen. There's a link in the episode notes. There's also a link so you can pick up the Mushroom Bomb from Ritual Powders. That is in the episode notes as well. Would love to keep in contact with you as things progress. I want to know how Ritual Powders continues. I want to hear how your career is going. I want to hear how your kid's being raised as a vegan. You would be shocked at how many people write into the show. Is it healthy for me to raise my child on a plant-based diet?
Why?
You're doing it. So I would love maybe to bring you back and we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, I know. It's hard, I get a lot of judgment from that. I feel it's very hard, but she's watches all the kids eat their food, or she brings her lunch boxes in every single day. But yeah, it's a tricky one, but you can do it. So don't feel ashamed and, don't feel scared of that. You can raise a healthy vegan child.
Absolutely. And a stronger one at that, mind, body, and spirit. If you're going against the cultural grain and you're doing your own thing over there, that's going to develop a heck of a backbone. So, I mean, I think that it's a fantastic thing. So keep that up and definitely let's chat more about that.
Thank you, Chuck.
All right, Robyn, appreciate you. Thanks for being here.